You have to start with respect for the person, I think, because otherwise you're suggesting that you know better than they do in terms of how they need to be in their bodies. And I actually consider it's really important that we come in as equals. The fear, I think, sometimes for working this way is that it will always look the same. That can often be a criticism that you're not actually progressing, and I would actually argue that there is progression, but again, because it's in the child's terms, it's on their terms, more or less, then you might not see anything different or new for quite a long time. Remember, we're dealing with children with quite significant intellectual deficits, and they have their preferred ways of moving. So I see motifs or ways of moving that are often repeated, but we are the same in the same setting. We always fall back to what we like doing because it's really lovely to do. And then what happens sometimes is they find something new. Now, I don't know how they find it, because I'm not teaching them something new, but I suspect it has a lot to do with being immersed in the wider group. They see someone roll, and they see someone with that stretchy fabric wrapped really tight around them, and then something in them says, I want to have a go at that. I want to be part of that, or I want to get an understanding of what it's like. I don't know, I'm not going to pretend that I understand the process as they see it all the time, but I see change, and I see shifts in ways of behaving, even though we follow the same structure, as I said, fortnightly or every 3 weeks. So with Wazzy, that became a moment where I could see that he was really pulling and enjoying the tension, and I just saw the other tail of the fabric, and I was just going to make it more into a tug of war, and then it just somehow moved over that it was between Wazzy and myself, and he started sliding. I had no idea what his body weight was like. So I wouldn't initiate that sort of activity normally with a student that size, because I've got to be careful, how much weight. But he's very light, so he was sliding beautifully. So he meant he could get the full experience of being moved on the floor like that. I suppose with a group like that, you're looking for very subtle shifts that might take a length of time to become apparent. So that particular group, with their class teacher, are part of a program called Intensive Interaction, which is a particular, it's really a methodology that was developed in the UK and is central in a few schools here in Victoria. And it's largely about communicating and appreciating the non-verbal elements. So for all intents and purposes, it is dance movement therapy too, because it's establishing relationship that's predicated on non-verbal and that is immersed in the body. So it's that thing of not just communicating with each other, but actually establishing a relationship with each other through the body. In 2009, I had an opportunity to do a little mini research project here at schools, funded through the Department of Early Childhood Education. And I had 20 days to come up with what I wanted to find was an assessment tool that I could use for the program here. And I had no idea where to begin. I just knew that I wanted something that would help me, again, be able to demonstrate in real terms the learning that goes on in the program here, so that my coordinator, senior leadership, other teachers could have an understanding. So it's valuing the fact that we all have a pair of eyes in the room and that we can all comment on a child's progress or on something new. For example, was he today sliding? So I could go back and ask Ozzy what he noticed about that, or what he thought really stood out, what he appreciated. It's always really interesting giving it to adults who work in different dance settings, because the fear perhaps is that we will all end up disagreeing with each other about what we observe. But in fact, the inter-rater reliability is very high. So with a complete group of strangers watching video just taken from this room, there's a really assuring level of commonality or agreeing on what we see, and then how we would fit it to that.